Hello, fellow patriots, and welcome back to Red Rights and You, the show that waves Old Glory so hard we've caused a mild breeze warning in 3 counties. I'm your host, Tim Andrews, still standing tall and wide, still unvaccinated, and still wondering how the Federal Reserve can spend $3.1 billion renovating a building and still not find any room for common sense. But this week, in this political circus, Capitol, we saw Donald J. Trump announce what he called the largest trade deal in history. Huge, with Japan. The media couldn't confirm it, but let's be honest. They couldn't confirm water is wet if it came from a faucet that was labeled Made in America. Then there's the Fed chair, Jerome Powell, still resisting interest rate cuts like he's guarding the last roll of toilet paper in March of 2020. Now, Trump met him at the Fed and called him out on wasteful spending. And it really looked like a modern day Laurel and Hardy bit. Truth be told, we would probably all do the same thing if we had to refinance a truck loan at 9.5%. Now, meanwhile, Congress is digging deeper into the Epstein case, issuing subpoenas like Halloween candy, except instead of chocolate, it's shame, corruption, and sensitive flight logs. And Republicans in D.C. are trying to rename the Kennedy Center, get this, after Melania Trump, and the Dems are throwing a fit. Apparently, this has been going on for some time now, but it just came to the forefront. And I really wonder where Bobby Jr. stands on that. But hey, speaking of class acts and constitutional smackdowns, please welcome the man who's got more wisdom than the Supreme Court and more grit than a Southern breakfast, my co-host, my brother in liberty, the master of the mic, the Sultan of Satire, the one and the only Mark Musgrove.
Oh my gosh.
Hey, how you doing, buddy?
It's good to be alive.
Yeah, it sure is, huh?
It's good to be alive, especially after this week.
Wow.
It just seems like people are dropping like flies.
Oh, it's just remarkable what's been going on, huh?
Yeah.
I don't know if anybody had them, these sick bastards that do those dead polls. I don't know if anybody had some of them. I'm pretty sure everybody has had, somebody's had Ozzie Newsome. I'm an old Cleveland Browns fan. Ozzy Osbourne probably for the last 25, 30 years. You know, they're surprised he lasted this long, but we thought he was on his way out 20 years ago. But Hulk Hogan, man, it just seems like recently he was doing his thing and at the convention. And now I've heard rumors that he has been ill for some time, but he's just been kind of, toughing it out and not letting people know about it. But Theo, Malcolm Jamal Warner, drowning, that's something that is unexpected. Goes in and, of course, he was known for a lot more than everybody remembers him from the Cosby Show, but he was a pretty successful director in his later days and was really, really active in the entertainment industries.
It started out Malcolm Jamal Warner, and actually what we have here is we have 3 different ways of dying, and I don't know which way's the best way. The first person who passed away tragically was Malcolm Jamal Warner.
Right.
As you said, from the Cosby Show. I've seen him in a couple things since, but that's the tragic way of going. Then you had Ozzy Osbourne, who had been sick for some time. However, less than 3 weeks ago, he performed on stage.
Yeah.
For the first time, I think they said in 6 years, and he sat on a big throne, and he sang or tried to sing or what have you. I don't know. But good for him that he was able to do that, and good for his fans. I mean, his fans, if you ever watch that clip, they were bawling even then because they knew this was the only time they were going to see him perform again. And they said as such. So he died from sickness over time, and then Hulk Hogan died apparently of a heart attack, which you said he might have been sick for a while, but still having a heart attack and pass away. I don't know which way's the worst way to go. I don't know. I mean, I guess there's no good way of going.
Yeah, I guess at the end we all get to the same place, right? Or get to the same end, right?
Yeah, someone said one time, everybody's got their story, and unfortunately, as far as on the earth, unfortunately, the story always ends badly.
Right. Yeah, right. Yeah, it's something. Ozzy was with Black Sabbath. He was at a Black Sabbath reunion. It's kind of like a whole different kind of music when he did that. That was some really old classic throwback rock and roll music back then. But he was there, and then I wonder if he sang Iron Man, right? Iron Man was one, and then there's two that I can remember, and the other one was that just like witches and black masses. And I don't remember the whole thing, but that was the part of it. That was the part that I always thought, oh, that's pretty cool sounding, you know.
Crazy Train, I think, is his song, isn't it? See, I'm not a big fan.
Well, that's his. Yeah, that was his kind of his biggest single as a solo artist. That was his biggest one. But Black Sabbath had some really good songs back in the day. Even I was a young whippersnapper then. And then you got, or am I doing Randy the Macho Man Savage? I used to love that thing. All right, brother. You know, brother. And then Randy the Macho Man Savage. I don't know if you remember him. He was kind of his nemesis. He go, you got bust in your eye, Hulk Hogan. Because he always thought he was after his wife, Elizabeth, right? But, you know, brother, I just got to tell you, what was it, the 24-inch pythons? I forget what it was, but yeah, he used to get really animated. And what he did with the Trump thing, you Trump-a-maniacs.
What we should do, brother, is we should do the rest of the podcast in a Hulk Hogan voice, brother.
What you gonna do, Mark? What you gonna do when the Hulkster and the pythons come after you?
Don't make me rip this shirt right now.
I'll do it. I'll do it. Wait, this is one of our merch shirts. I can't rip this one. It's so strong and durable and great. I don't think I could rip it. But yeah.
I'm going to take over your podcast and transition into the politics, which is what we normally do.
Hey, before we do that, can we talk about one guy that was really kind of ignored through this whole thing? And I thought had some really cool licks going on. You should know this guy because you're a horn player. But Chuck Mangione, remember that guy?
Yeah, I didn't see that at all. Yeah. And I should know.
That poor guy, I don't even know if he made the obituaries with all those other guys dying at the same time. He was almost completely overlooked. But he played that you know.
As a former trumpet player, my trumpet is behind me up on the shelf. My daughter played that same trumpet. I've got grandchildren who have taken on the trumpet. One or two of them have quit already. I think I have one who's currently playing the trumpet in middle school. But
I think most trumpet players blow myself.
They do. But there's something about the brass, though, that's just so cool. Damn brassy. But yeah, if you're a celebrity and you're going to die when nobody else dies at first, because then you're the first one.
Right.
But then when the second one happens, if they're more famous than you, you're old news already. I mean, normally they would have talked about Malcolm Jamal Warner for days, probably.
Right.
Investigations, what happened down there. I've seen nothing.
You don't want to die in the middle. Right?
But I'd say, I don't know if Ozzy Osbourne is more famous than Hulk Hogan. Probably Hulk Hogan would be considered more famous.
Yeah, because people from all genres kind of probably close, you know.
But poor old Chuck Mangione, I mean, he picked a shitty week to die.
That's it, man.
So
be
choosy. When you're famous, you got to be choosy on when you die because it depends on how you're going to get covered.
Only people in jazz clubs knew anything about it.
But speaking of death, Stephen Colbert, his show is now dead. And, of course, that's now a national tragedy. David Letterman and his big beard are both upset about it. And he says about how CBS gave Colbert a rotten deal. And I you know what? If CBS wants to pay me over 10 years, $15 million plus every year, and disrespect me, I'll take it. I mean, the
Yeah.
dude's made over $100 million, and David Letterman is talking about how terrible it is that they canceled him. But the reason why they canceled him is because the advertisers don't want to advertise on the program because half the people don't like the content. And we talked about that last week.
Yeah.
Why go through why alienate half your audience?
Colbert was the only one making money. CBS was losing $40 million a year.
Yeah.
So I don't know how you can bitch that they're putting you on there and they can afford to lose. Man, pay me $40 million a year. I think we probably get more viewers than Stephen Colbert got.
Yeah. And then Jay Leno commented about it. I saw where he said they did try to be 50-50 on the politics, and they didn't try to be overly cruel. If you want to entertain people, you want to entertain everybody. Jay Leno, as I was saying, lost my train of thought. Age will do that.
Your crazy train of thought?
Yeah, my crazy train of thought. He said that he was friends with Rodney Dangerfield for 40 years.
Yeah.
And he said Rodney Dangerfield was one of the funniest guys ever. And he said in 40 years, I couldn't tell you if he was a Democrat or Republican.
Yeah.
We just talked about jokes and things that were funny. Can we get back to that? I mean, I know we're talking on a political podcast, but people. So what do you make of the Hunter Biden interview? I actually started listening to it. It's over 3 hours long. I feel like I should give him as a human being an open mind, because he is someone who's gone through a lot of he's fought a lot of demons. I mean, he's not done some good things, for true. But I am curious, and I probably will listen to the whole 3 hours and 17 minutes or whatever it is, because I feel like I should. I asked my wife if she wanted to watch it, and she said, "Why would we want to watch that?" What do you make about that with Hunter Biden in the interview?
Shit, Mark, I think we should play the whole 3.5 hours right now on the podcast. Are you folks ready for that? Let's go. Let's play
Let's do it, brother.
All right, brother. Hunter. You got lost in your eyes, Hunter Biden. Man, and
so what do you make of the 3 hour interview?
I think it was just, he just lambasted everybody, and it was just so profanity laced. We couldn't put it on here because YouTube would ask me, is this content suitable for children?
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of podcasts, man, that throw that language around. We I just talk, I don't go out of my way to throw language at people like a lot of people do. So they throw the more they throw the F word in there, the better they think the podcast or the message is or whatever. I'll say some things here and there, but that's just normal conversation. Yeah, you could tell he was obviously pissed. He was not happy with everything that was going on, and it was definitely a rant. Well,
the parts that we saw, I would like to watch the whole 3 hours.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to watch it all in one sitting, and I'll probably be listening to it doing other things. Yeah, the question is why? And why now? I mean, I guess it's because he's got a book out.
Yeah.
Who is buying these books that these people keep? I mean, what's the last book you've read?
Oh, man.
People don't read books anymore.
No,
they
not
don't.
really.
We're all on our phones reading snippets. And now we're on our phones reading what Google AI tells us what we should think. So now when you go to Google and are looking for something, Google AI, it's becoming almost like a god, where Google AI is like the entity that is all-knowing, all-seeing, and you don't even look in the search results anymore. You just read what Google AI says.
Yeah.
It's scary. It's actually really scary because I'll be honest, we were having some trouble with a family situation, and I admit I had gone into Google and asked something about a certain generation, why they act a certain way. Not politically correct, I know, but Google AI had us. Now, that's not right, that you should be looking that way, because not everybody's that way. That's a stereotype. It's like, now I'm being preached to by Google AI.
I am not going to get involved in your family situation.
I'm just ready for Google AI. When I type in something like that, Google AI comes up. Now, Mark,
kids will be kids. Wives will be wives.
You know, Mark, you're a smart boy. You know that is a stereotype, Mark. Shame on you. I'm going to have to report you now to someone for re-education. I mean, it is feeling like it's going towards a sci-fi concept that things we've seen in movies and stuff. It just kind of feels that way, where the Google AI is going to be telling us what to think and what.
I'll tell you, it's funny. TV programming has really been capitalizing on it. I don't know how many times iRobot has been on lately. I actually watched a little bit of it last night.
Yeah,
just hilarious. I mean, but it's just, you look at it, it's really scary. It's set in 2035, of course. Only 10 years from now, but I'm sure it'll take a little bit longer than that. But they always back it off a little bit. But yeah, it's crazy. But the good thing is, I am computer illiterate. But if I want to know something, I'm an old man, but I can go into Chat GPT and ask it something. And if I don't understand it, I can ask it again. I still don't get it. And I can take a screenshot of the pic of a screen on the computer. It reads it. It tells me. It does all that kind of stuff. So even a dummy like me can eventually get it if I frame the question the right way. You got to at least be creative, I think, sometimes in how you frame the question or the command. And if you do that right, it's amazing what those things can do. But it's also a little scary when you see, like I said before, with these robots, like Elon's robots and others' robots can do. And then you combine that with the quick thinking and quick responsiveness of Chat GPT. They're actually coming up with things quicker than a human being can. I mean, a lot quicker. And they can write 5 pages of content after thinking for 20 seconds.
yeah.
Or whatever you want to call it, analyzing, thinking, whatever you want to. But I'm just like, what? After what I just said, and they just come up with the whole thing. It's pretty amazing.
I mean, it's a tool. I mean, just like there was a day when someone came up with a power tool and there was people out there that said, I'm not using that power tool, just give me a hammer any old day.
Yeah.
So I guess we should go with it and learn how to use the tool. But the tools are getting bigger and more sophisticated and potentially more dangerous.
Well, technology doesn't move backwards.
No.
So we're going to have to get used to it. I mean, unless it was interfered with by something. They always talk about, somebody coming up with a weapon, the pulse weapon or something that can destroy cell phone communication. I mean, could you imagine nowadays if we didn't have computers and we didn't have cell phones and tablets or anything like that, that it would be chaotic. It would be insane.
I think it will happen at some point. I think China or somebody like that will try. If they were going to try to invade Taiwan or something like that, the first thing they would do is try to do something here to kind of get us off our, knock us off our feet a little bit. And the one thing is, with the spy balloon a year or two ago, that spy balloon, if it had let off an electromagnetic pulse in the right place, it would have knocked out electronics in a certain area, and the area can be huge depending on how high up it is and how powerful the electromagnetic pulse is. Now, they say a nuclear weapon has electromagnetic pulse, so automatically, if you blew up a nuke, it not only just burns everything and incinerates everything, but it also fries electronics. So if you're out, even though that bomb may go off at ground zero, you could be 300 miles away, potentially. Right. Don't quote me on the math. And all your electronics could be, if it was high enough in the atmosphere where the bomb hit, where the bomb went off high enough, it would just knock everything out. And that's why last week, and if we were bigger, I would be promoting something. We just scheduled to have a backup generator for our house because we're concerned. I start to think to myself, okay, if we had a EMP, electromagnetic pulse, go off, we have this generator, will the generator work? Probably not. So really all it's good for is someone hits a utility pole and we're down for a few hours. Right. Maybe if we have no power for a couple days or a week or two for a catastrophic type storm.
When your basement gets flooded because your sump pump's not working, unless you have a backup for your sump pump, of course.
Yeah, you can get a whole house generator where it runs everything or you can get one that runs, I think we're getting one that runs so many circuits. So
Right.
for a few less dollars, it's still very expensive because they can basically charge what they want because people want these generators now. You can get a generator where it'll do your heat, your refrigerator, certain lights, certain parts of the house. You don't have to do the whole house. You can get there's probably about 15 circuits in your house that cover almost the most important things.
Right.
Like your garage door opener and, Anywho, we haven't talked too much about politics because if we did, we'd be talking about Jeffrey Epstein, and I'm just sick of hearing about that. To me, that's the Democrats' way of trying to erode Trump's agenda by basically saying that, he's hiding something with Jeffrey Epstein. But I'm going to say again, if the Biden administration had anything with Trump in there, it would have came out by now. Plus, you have the people involved. You would think someone would have came out by now and said, yeah, when I was 14 years old, I had this situation with Donald Trump. You would think somebody would have came out, just like someone came out for Prince Andrew, which I believe that gal who was involved in it, I think she killed herself, a couple weeks ago, I think. Did you hear about that?
I didn't hear that, but I wouldn't be surprised.
Yes, the girl who's now who obviously grew up and was a woman. That came out kind of awkward. The one that was in the picture with Jeffrey Epps.
Nowadays, you never know. She could have grown up and become a man.
That's true. You don't know. It's 2025. But the picture where Prince Andrew had his arm around the girl and what's her name? Epstein's girlfriend was there too.
Yeah, Maxine.
That famous picture.
Yep.
Yeah, she killed herself. It just got to be too much for her, all that. But you're more interested in the Epstein thing than me. To me, it's like old news, and I'm not saying old news because I want it to go away because I think Trump's hiding something, but I don't think they're ever going to get anything else. I think what there is what's out.
Well, you got to be careful what you wish for if you're the Democrats,
I mean,
be careful what you wish for because who knows? I mean, like I've said it before too, I don't think it's not just Trump's doesn't want to release it because he's on it. Now, there could be reasons he doesn't want to release it where maybe somebody else that he doesn't want to throw under the bus is on it. I think it's highly unlikely that every single person on that list is a Democrat that we have issues with. I mean, there's going to be, regardless, and that's the main thing. Again, on one of my Truth Social posts, I got a guy that he likes to rant. I forget his name, but and he was talking about how nobody's going to respect Trump if he doesn't go after these people and start arresting people and holding their feet to the fire and throwing these people in jail and prosecuting and everything else. But, it's not that easy. You have to be very careful where you tread before you go in there. And part of it is Trump. He always talks things up at the beginning. I'm going to drain the swamp. We're going to drain the swamp. Well, you talk the talk, and these hardcore conservatives, man, they want you to walk the walk.
Mm-hmm.
So, they're frustrated that people aren't being arrested and being held accountable. I think it's going to happen. You have to prioritize because but I don't know if it's going to happen at the pace where these people want it to happen because it's going to affect, there's going to be a lot of collateral damage. And it may be Trump's close friends. It may be, whoever it might be, or it could be somebody like a Bill Clinton that would come out there and maybe he has something on Trump, or it's politics, man. It's dirty. There's no out of bounds. I mean, you can do whatever you want to do, say whatever you say, all's fair in love, war, and politics, I guess, right?
Yeah, but let's talk about this Epstein thing in the prism of, say, hypothetically, Trump did do things with minors and that he did do that in the past. Let's say he did. If it comes out, do you think he'll resign the presidency? Do you think he will stand for impeachment again? Or nothing happens? Which of those three, unless you can think of a fourth option, which of those three do you think would happen?
Well, I can think of a fourth option, and that is if he was, they would never let it come out.
The fourth option is it just doesn't get out.
It gets buried, and when you are the administration, that's easy to do. Like in the Biden days, all the shit he was doing, all that stuff's getting covered up, the payments and payouts. Now it's coming to light, and maybe with Trump it would have come to light later. but not as long as he's in power, and probably not as long as Republicans are in power. If he did do anything, like I said, I really don't believe he did. But if that were the case, it would get buried, and we would never hear about it. There's no way that they could unbury it, or dig it up. And I think another possibility is they're talking to that Maxine. I apologize, I don't know what her last name is, but the one that was Epstein's cohort.
No, Maxwell's her last name.
Okay. Well, if they talk to her, there's always a chance that they could swing some kind of a deal. Look, if let's forget this ever happened, whether it's Trump or somebody else, and then you nail this person. Guess what? You do this, and then you do that, and then we'll pardon you, or you can serve a year until this thing is blown over, and then we'll get you out of there. There's a lot of different things that they can do to either cover it up or a workaround. When you're in power, you can do pretty much whatever you want.
Well, I think if you go down to the brass tacks of what would be the result in each case, the first result is it comes out that Trump did do things inappropriately with minors. If that ended up being the case, he's not going to resign and he's going to deny. Now, his presidency probably would be not as effective over the next 3+ years, but he'll just deny it. The second thing is he would not resign because he would deny it. So same reason is the first one. Then the third one is impeachment. Why would the Democrats impeach him? Because think about this. Impeaching Donald Trump this term would be the dumbest thing in the history of the Democratic Party. Because guess what? You have an election in 2028, and one of the premier candidates for the Republicans is J.D. Vance. Why on earth would you impeach Trump, put him from office, put J.D. Vance in as president? Now he's the incumbent. Now you're running it against an incumbent. Not only that, but the way the Constitution is you can run for 2 terms, but you can actually be president for, I think, up to 10 years. And that's what happened with Lyndon Johnson. President Kennedy was killed about 3 years into his presidency. Johnson finished that term, ran, and had his full term. He could have ran in 68 and chose not because he was in poor health, and he did die in 72 or 73, something like that. So he was in poor health, but he could have ran again. Lyndon Johnson could have been president for 9+ years. Same thing with J.D. Vance. If he becomes president in the first 2 years of Trump's term, he can run once more. But if he became president after the 2-year mark, he could run twice more. Why would you impeach Donald Trump? Now think about this. With the midterm elections, you know damn well that there's not going to be an impeachment unless something really, really, really bad happens that the Republicans decide they got to boot Trump out. Which actually, if you think about it, there might be a few Republicans that be like, yeah, let's get him out so we can get J.D. Vance in there because now he's the incumbent. But if it happened after that 2-year period, you could have 10 years of J.D. Vance as president of the United States. Why, as a Democrat, would you want to cue that up?
Yeah.
You wouldn't. You wouldn't.
And these idiots on the left think that it's all Donald Trump's. Look, man, the MAGA movement is here to stay. It's successful. It works. It's getting results. The majority of the people can see things are happening here. Getting people in there that aren't real political. And you got to remember, J.D. Vance wasn't involved in politics until fairly recently. And now he's the vice president of the United States. So, Rubio might be a little different, but they're all buying into MAGA. It's not Trump. If Trump was doing all these things and nothing was working, it would be no. That's the thing. I think conservatives, they can think for themselves. A lot of people now with the Epstein thing, that's got some people and it's not because the Democrats told them, oh, this, and this. It's because we actually have the capability of figuring things out, are blindly obedient servants like they are to their mainstream media and deep state politics. Okay. We can actually make decisions based on our thought processes and how people do things. So, we would certainly be critical if he does things and they don't work, but the MAGA movement, it's here to stay and it's getting stronger and stronger. So it's not just Trump and Vance. It's all these people. He's got this huge, his cabinet are very, very capable. I'm thinking almost any one of them could probably run the country. They're incredibly talented.
Mm-hmm.
So it's here. So people are like, oh, Trump this, get rid of Trump. I long for the day, speaking of death, I long for the day when we don't have to ever see him again. Well, yeah, you guys think if something happened to him, it would solve all your problems, but it wouldn't. But we got to get going. But I'm going to say one more thing. I got to comment on that Jerome Powell, the most unlikely white man to ever be named Jerome, I think, in the history of the world. But it's so funny. I saw him and Trump when Trump was down at the Fed, the Reserve or what have you, and he was walking through there with them. And
The hard hats on.
dude, it reminded me so much of an old Laurel and Hardy sketch. Here's Jerome Powell with the. If you guys don't know who Laurel, I'm old. They're older than Abbott and Costello, and if you don't know them, then you're way younger than me. But one was a slight little guy with a bow tie, and he was a little squirrely guy, and always was doing this with his head like this. And then the other was a big, heavy set guy. And it's so funny when he said, no, Trump had said, oh, it's another 3.1 billion or something. And he said, oh, no, I don't know. It just came out today.
There you go.
And then
Be here.
Guy's like, what? Puts on his glasses. Ollie, that's a new building, Ollie.
Do you think
it's still being built?
Do you think Mrs. Jerome Powell, if there is a Mrs. Jerome Powell, do you think that she's like, hey, Jeremy, that's what she calls him, Jeremy for Jerome. Hey, Jeremy, bring that hard hat home. Oh my God.
That's probably the first time he's ever seen a speck of dust in his life.
Bring that hard hat home. Let's have some fun with that hard hat, Jeremy. Oh my God. He just did not look the part wearing that hat.
Man, that was
like someone said, and it was true. Someone said that it was kind of like a Michael Dukakis moment, and that's showing our age too. When he was running against the first George Bush in '88, he was like in a tank with a helmet on. He just looked like the Mad Max guy with the
Newman or Edward Newman or something. I don't know.
Or whatever his name was, sitting there with the hat on in the tank. I mean, it just did not. It didn't work, and it didn't work with Jeremy walking with his helmet on. It just.
I thought maybe he was seconds away from getting a wedgie and then being drugged into the men's room and given a swirly. The old bowling tactics in high school. But yeah, it was funny. But not a lot going on. I mean, we had some trade things going on, but it's nice every once in a while to just talk about some current events and things like that, even though you're going from the frying pan into the fire when you're talking about the dirty politics. And then the other alternative, I guess, for a change up is people that died during the week. Not exactly the most cheerful option, but hey, it happened, right?
Tim, I don't want to hijack your podcast, but we didn't even talk about supposedly Obama was behind the Russian hoax. We don't have enough time to talk about that now, but maybe next week, if there's more developments, maybe we can get into that next week.
Well, by next week, he'll probably be in jail, right?
Probably, because our justice system works pretty quick.
And they'll be at least leading him off in cuffs or whatever. And by that time, somebody will be talking about the whole Biden thing, and that'll all come out too, right? Mm-hmm. Everything will be just fine. But it's hilarious. It works at a snail. Trump's moving fast, but the political spectrum and the whole scenario still creeps along when it comes to doing anything substantial. And that's where Trump gets that criticized. Do it, throw him in jail, do this. It's not that easy, folks. Mm-hmm. I mean, I agree. I want things done too. I mean, if anything, people think like Trump is extreme. If anything, a large part of the MAGA base is way more extreme than Trump.
Yeah.
I think a lot of these people would be why don't we just pull up, grab these people, drag them off, throw a rope across the branch of the tree, and let's just get it over with,
Oh, yeah. I mean, I had a guy do some work here. I consider him a friend, and you actually talked to him one time. FaceTime, and he would say anything like that is treason and firing squad, but he is like way over to the right, admittedly so, and he'll say, I'm way to the right. And you know what is wrong with people having a different opinion? I say that again. That's what makes life fun and good. Yeah. You got someone to the far right, you got someone from the far left, you have all kinds of different people that all think different, and that's a good thing. Why would we want to all think the same?
One of the most hilarious things I think I see, and then we'll wrap this up. We're past time. But one of the most hilarious things I think I have ever seen is when the Dems have a talking point and they show 20 different people saying the exact same thing. Now, I don't know if you believe in coincidences.
No, they
I
get a
really
memo.
don't believe.
They're following a memo, a talking
Yep.
point memo for the day.
You can talk about anything you want today, Mark, as long as you use the same exact phrasing
Yes.
that I talked about.
Constitutional crisis. Today's word is constitutional crisis. Tomorrow's word is Nazis.
And how are we going to use it in a sentence, Mark? You know, the way Trump's acting is no better than the Nazi regime. And then somebody else, you know, the way Trump's acting is no better than the Nazi regime. You know,
the Nazis, they did this and this and this and the same thing.
It's so painfully obvious.
Yeah.
The thing, and the more they're exposed, the more aware we are of just the bullshit that goes on that side of the aisle. But speaking of bullshit, we've been bullshitting for way too long. Mark, thanks again for being with me, buddy.
Yeah.
Hey, all of you, thank you so much for hanging in with us. Don't forget to go to www.redrights and check out all of our merch. We got the shirt here. It looks a little bit like, oh, hey, there's its twin brother on a mug. And then we have our Red Rights and You for our Red Rights and You family with YouTube, and anybody else that wants to jump on board, come on in, subscribe. We love having you here. Until next time, everyone, thank you so much. Stay the path, stay strong, stay patriotic. God bless you all, and God bless the United States of America. Thanks again, Mark. Have a good one now.
Thank you, brother.
Okay. All right, brother.
Sorry.
You got lust in your eye, Mark. Bye, everybody.
Bye.